Hey everyone, today we're jumping into something that is just absolutely essential if you're working with MongoDB. We're talking about how to create solid backups and, maybe even more importantly, how to actually restore them. And we're going to do it all with two fantastic command line tools that are basically best friends, mongodump and mongorestore.
I mean, just think about it for a minute. All of your collections, all of your documents, that data is pretty much the heart of your entire application. So the really big question you have to ask yourself is, how are you protecting it? What's your plan for when things go wrong?
Well, the answer comes down to these two utilities. They are a perfect duo. On one side, you've got mongodump, which is your tool for creating a backup. And on the other, you have mongorestore, its perfect partner, built specifically to bring that backup data back to life. It's a simple relationship. One creates, the other restores.
Now, what's really cool is the format mongodump uses. It's called bson, which stands for binary JSON. And this is a game changer. See, unlike regular JSON, which is just text, bson is a binary format. That makes it way more efficient and, crucially, it can handle all the rich data types that MongoDB uses, things like dates or binary data that regular JSON just can't. This ensures your backup is a perfect, high-fidelity copy.
Okay, so let's get our hands dirty, shall we? We're going to start by diving deep into creating a backup. This first section is all about becoming a pro with mongodump.
So, let's imagine the simplest scenario. You've got MongoDB running right there on your own machine and you just want a quick, no-fuss backup of absolutely everything. What's the command for that?
And believe it or not, it's really that simple. You just pop open your terminal, type mongodump, and hit enter. That one word is all it takes to get the whole process started. But you're probably wondering, what is actually happening behind the scenes?
So when you run it plain like that, mongodump makes a few smart assumptions. First, it expects to find your MongoDB server on your local machine. That's localhost at the default port, 27017. Then it goes ahead and backs up every single database it finds on that server. And finally, it neatly packages all of that into a brand new directory called dump, right in the folder where you ran the command.
That default is awesome for a quick save, but let's be real, in the real world, you're going to need more control. You'll probably want to put your backups in a specific folder, right? Or maybe you only care about one specific database, not the entire server.
And this is how you get that control, by using these command line options or flags. The -out flag lets you tell it exactly where to save the files. Use -db to zero in on just one database. You can even get more granular and target a single collection with the -collection flag. These options give you surgical precision over your backups.
All right, now for the scenario that you're probably going to face most of the time. Your database isn't on your laptop. It's running on a production server somewhere out there on the network. How do you reach out to it and pull a backup down?
You just build the command piece by piece. You start with the tool itself, mongodump. Then you tell it where to connect using -host and -port. If that server is locked down, which it should be, you provide your credentials with -username and -password. And finally, you tell it where to save the files on your local machine with -out. See, it just builds up logically. Awesome. So you've made a nice, safe backup of your data. But, a backup that you can't restore is, well, it's pretty much useless, right? So let's flip over to the other half of our power couple, mongorestore, and learn how to put that data back.
Okay, so you're sitting there with your dump directory full of all those precious bson files. What's the magic command to get that data from the folder back into a running MongoDB database?
And again, you're going to love how simple the basic command is. You just run mongorestore, and you point it to your backup directory. That's it. It'll read all the files in there and start rebuilding your databases, your collections, and all your documents, exactly as they were when you made the backup. Now, this is a super common situation. Maybe you're migrating to a new server, or you're setting up a copy for testing. Or maybe the worst has happened, and you're recovering from a total disaster. You need to get that data onto a completely different machine.
And hey, would you look at that? The options should look really familiar. Just like we did with mongodump, you can use -host and -port to tell mongorestore exactly which server to send the data to. This consistency between the two tools makes them so much easier to work with.
Okay, knowing how to run these commands is great. You're in a really good spot. But if you want to go from good to being a true pro, we need to talk about automation. Because real data safety comes from consistency. And that means taking human error out of the picture. Exactly. Nobody wants to be the person who has to remember to log in at 3 a.m. every single night to run a backup command. That's just asking for trouble. Sooner or later, you're going to forget. We need to make the computer do it for us. And here's how it's done. On systems like Linux or Mac OS, the classic tool for the job is cron. You can set up a simple line, like the one you see here, to run your mongodump command every single night at 3 a.m. If you're on Windows, you'd put your command into a simple batch file and then use the built-in task scheduler to tell Windows to run that script on whatever schedule you want.
All right, we have covered a ton of ground here, from making backups to restoring them and even automating the whole thing. Let's take a second to just boil it all down to the absolute must-know points.
If you're going to walk away from this explainer with just a few key ideas locked in your brain, what should they be?
So here's the bottom line. MongoDump makes the backup, MongoRestore brings it back. They're a team. Both are command line tools that talk to a running database. You can get super specific with options like host, DB, and out. But if there's one thing you remember, make it this. Automate your backups. Use cron, use task scheduler, use whatever you want, but set it up so it happens automatically. A consistent backup is the only backup you can truly count on.
I'll just leave you with this final thought. It might sound like a cliché, but in the world of data, there is nothing more true. Thinking ahead and making those backups is the best insurance policy you will ever have.
Hey, if this walkthrough of MongoDump and MongoRestore was helpful for you, do me a favor and hit that like button, share it with a friend, and subscribe so we can keep making more explainers like this. Thanks so much for watching.